Out of puff. As time wore on, Gordon found his express runs to the other railway harder and harder to manage. In order to ease off his workload, the Fat Controller assigned Henry to the train. Henry loved it. He tried his best to keep to time and did it well. Too well, in fact, for the pride went straight to his smoke box. "I don't know what the Fat Controller would do without me," he boasted in the shed. "You need a big, strong engine to pull a large, important train." "I have a care," Douglas said. "Too much puff about yourself and you might run out of puff one day." "Rubbish! I'm an enterprising engine. I can get a job done no matter what." Donald rolled his eyes. "Dougie is right though. Puff goes before I fail." Of course, the twins were wasting their own puff, for Henry ignored them and shut his eyes instead. The next morning, the engines found a new sort of coal in the bunkers. It had been the only available order, but it was dusty and burned dark clouds of soot. It made lots of ash too, and soon the engines each had terrible pains in their smoke boxes. "Come on," said Henry's driver one morning, "we gotta pull the express." "But I don't feel well." "Let James pull it, he'd love that." "Hey, what happened to you?" Donald chuckled. "I thought enterprising engines could do a job no matter what." Henry muttered unhappily and set off to pull his train. The express was running well, but Henry was struggling to keep to time. Soon he came to a halt at Edward's station, groaning dreadfully. Douglas was there, and after being coupled to the coaches, spoke to Henry. "Out of puff, are you? We tried to tell you, but no, you didn't listen." Douglas left as Henry's firemen tried clearing the tons of ashes that had built up. When at last he shut Henry's smokebox door, but it didn't make the airtight seal it should have. "What luck," grumbled the fireman. "First this dreaded new coal, now your door won't shut. The ashes have bent it out of shape." But I know how we can cure it." With Henry still wheezing, he ran into the station. He returned a few minutes later with piles of old newspaper and a bucket of water. "Oh, what can you do with water and paper?" "We can make something called paper mache. We rip apart the paper, soak it in the water, and paste it where your air leak is. It won't last forever, but it should get us back to the sheds." For quite some time, the crew set to work. They ripped dozens of old newspapers, and, fingers growing weary, they finished. Henry felt better immediately as they set off for home. He arrived at the sheds in no time, but his story, of course, had beat him to it. Donald and Douglas said nothing as he backed in, but occasionally made a kind of breathless wheezing noise. "They must have a very odd sense of humor," Henry thought, but he kept it to himself.